How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the Crypto Unveiled YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Render. You can see the current price of Render is currently sat at just over $3.22, and you can see the market cap of Render has absolutely exploded over the last, I guess you could say, actually Render's 5 years now. It's crazy how time goes so fast. But you can see Render has been out from, around mid-2020, and you can see the market cap and price of Render has absolutely exploded. I mean, you can see back here, the all-time highs were absolutely crazy for Render, $11.87, and in the future, I believe we can actually get back to these all-time high, but I'll discuss more about that later on in the video. See, over the last year, you can actually see Render is actually down around 50%, which is always, it's not nice to see when you're looking at an altcoin which you believe in go into the red. That is never nice to see. However, I do believe that this is not just Render's fault. This is the whole of the altcoin market right now. I've seen Bitcoin do quite well over the last year or two. But the altcoin market over the last year or two hasn't been doing as well as it has in the previous years. In previous years, Bitcoin has been doing very well. The altcoin market also follows. But, this just doesn't seem to be the case at the moment. And I really do hope this can change very, very soon. Over the last month, you can see down 17%. But over the last 7 days and over the last day, you can see we've actually had a positive shift, which is always really, really nice to see. Over the last 7 days, up 6%, and over the last day, up a little bit, which is, again, not crazy, nothing crazy, but always nice to see. Again, around 2% up on the last day. So I really do hope that this can continue into the future, over the next coming months, towards, Christmas time or towards the end of the year. And we will start to see all these altcoins rebound and get back into that lovely green once again. However, the red, like I just said, the red is not always nice to see. However, people who actually do believe in the coins, this is always a great opportunity to actually get hold of more of these coins at a great discount. So it's not always a bad thing. You've always got to look on the bright side of every situation that happens. When the market's doing really well, of course, this is great because you're going to be making gains. But when the market's down, you can always look at the market and see it as a discounted time. Great time to actually buying more coins, acquiring more coins. So then in the future, you will actually see, basically more gains if the coin actually does go back up again. Again, market cap's $1.66 billion, which again, very nice to see. 24-hour volume, $51 million. Volume to market cap ratio sitting at just over 3%. Circulating supply of Render, 518 million Render currently circulating, with the max supply sitting at 644 million. So again, not too bad on the circulating supply compared to the max supply. You're not going to experience too much coin dilution when the rest of the coins do actually come onto the market. So what is Render all about? And this actually, I guess you could call it a slogan or whatever. Just this piece of information on this website right now is, sums up Render very nicely. Distributed GPU Render Network. So what actually is Render all about? It is all about being able to access distributed GPU power whenever you want. So this works in the same way, exact same way as cloud storage. So if you're on a PC or a laptop and you need to store some information on your computer, however you've run out of storage, you will then go to the cloud. You will then upload your stuff to the cloud and it's stored and saved on the cloud. You of course then pay the person or the company which is actually storing your information a small fee to actually be able to store your information on their systems, their systems which the company owns. This is the exact same way that Render does actually work. So, it's able to actually use distributed GPU power from many different laptops and PCs, and I'm sure they've got dedicated servers around the world. You can actually take that GPU power, which, I'm sure they will actually have a app or whatever to actually give your GPU power to the Render network, and you can actually access this no matter what device you're on, whether this be a very low budget system or a high-end system, wherever it be. If you just need some extra distributed, if you need some extra GPU power to render something on your high-end PC, or you need the GPU power to completely render this thing, if you've got none on your actual personal computer, this is where the render network does actually come in. So you actually be able to, you know, pay a small fee and actually use their GPU power, which is of course on the decentralized network, which is incredibly cool to see. You see cloud rendering made easy, secure, and affordable. You see here key benefits: fast, of course, create for next generation resolutions at incredible speeds with parallelized rendering. Elastic decentralized supply provides near unlimited scale to meet any project's needs. This is probably the biggest one. It has unlimited scale to meet any project's needs. You know, whereas normally you need to buy an incredibly expensive computer when you want to render anything, or you know, you want to use your this GPU power for whatever you need it for. You need to, you know, spend a hell of a lot of money on a, you know, like I just said, a high-end PC. But with a render, you can have the world's worst computer. As long as you have access to the render network on that computer, you will have unlimited, basically unlimited GPU power, which is incredibly cool to see. Affordable, again, this is one of the biggest things. Not only just looking at the technology, but it has to be affordable, because it can have you can have the best technology in the world, but if it's not affordable, people are not going to be, you know, they're not going to use it because they're not going to be able to afford it. It's, you know, that is one of the biggest things. Is, you know, technology and the affordability come hand in hand. You know, you cannot have you cannot have the network working, basically, or it will not, you know, it will not take off. It will not be a success, I guess I should say, if these two things are not actually, you know, are not both a success. So if it's not affordable, it will not work, and if it's not, you know, the technology doesn't actually work, it doesn't meet the actual demands, then the actual whole system is not going to be able to work either. You see here the future of 3D rendering and generative AI imaging. So yeah, once again, you can just use all this unlimited GPU power for whatever you want to use it on. So yeah, render, incredibly cool. And render is also a, you know, it's one of the top coins on my list right now, because it was actually mentioned in the Apple keynote. You know, the keynote where they talk about all their new phones, their new iPads, the new Macs, all these different things. Render was actually mentioned in this keynote to actually be the actual supplier for one of the applications that was actually mentioned in the keynote, which is incredibly cool to see. This was massive news. I believe it was, I don't know, I can't remember how long it was, maybe 6 months ago now. This was massive news when the actual keynote went live on the with Apple. You know, many people were going crazy about render, and yeah, that just shows that render are making moves. They are here to stay, I believe. They're just going to keep updating and developing their software, or their, you know, whatever it may be, to be future proof, and they're just going to keep branching out and partnering with these big massive companies, even traditional companies like Apple, who are not really in the cryptocurrency space, and that's always nice to see, you know, when coins branch out not only to other companies in the cryptocurrency space, but in the traditional space as well. And yeah, that just, I believe that is one of the biggest factors for whether or not a coin's going to succeed, is if they branch out to the traditional space, you know, get the traditional users on board as well. So what is my personal price prediction for render? Of course, I'm going to be bullish on render. Like I said in many previous videos, I normally only talk about bullish coins on my channel because, you know, I want to show you guys the best, you know, the best current altcoins there are on the market. So my personal price prediction for render, I believe that conservatively we can easily get back up to that all-time high. I really do believe that render does have the potential to get back up to this all-time high. You know, $11.87 was the all-time high. I believe we hopefully should be able to surpass that, in my opinion, which will be, you know, $12, which would be around a 4x from it is right now, which is just absolutely crazy, especially for a coin of this size. You know, currently ranked 50 on the coin market cap. I believe that it could, you know, definitely go back over that $12 mark. And hopefully in the future, in maybe a more of a long-term future, maybe 2 to 3 years, we will start to see it push up towards that $20 mark for render. Of course, that is a little bit more, you know, I guess I could call that a bit more ambitious. But, you know, I believe that we could definitely get back up to that all-time high and hopefully surpass it in the future. I'm talking maybe in the next year or so, when the altcoin market does actually get back up on its feet and get pushing back towards all these positives. I would love to see a bull market again, guys. I mean, it's been so many years now since we've seen a proper bull run, and it would just be great to see that. But yeah, incredibly bullish about Render's future, and I really do believe Render is going to be doing well in the future. So apart from that, guys, I'd like to thank you very much for watching the video. Let me know what you think about Render in the comment section down below. Are you going to invest? Are you ready to invest? Or is it a no-go for you? Just let me know. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you do hit that like button and subscribe as well if you are new around here. See you guys in the very next video. Peace.